Hi all, my name is Mahesh Kumar Vaka. I am working as Senior Software Engineer in Evoke Technologies, Hyderabad. In this session, we will talk about one of the major concepts in Java, that is object-oriented programming. When I'm saying object-oriented programming, it is just a process or a way or a pattern or a method of writing programs which focuses to shift our thought process towards thinking everything as an object. Like whatever we want to implement, we have to think it in a real world perspective and consider everything as an object. So let us say we are working for some student management system. So in that we can consider a student as an object. Similarly, if we work for banking system, we can consider bank as an object. Just the same way, based on the project, we can think of everything as an object and try to implement the concepts which we discuss further. So those are the core concepts of object oriented programming. Any interview will start with this question only. So there they will ask what are the core concepts of object oriented programming. In that case, we start with four major things. Those are abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation. I will tell about each of these things with a simple program, but it is not just the whole of the thing which I say. It has a lot, but I will just explain the major thing out of each of these concepts with a simple program. So here, when I am saying abstraction, with this word itself, you can understand that we are not going to tell everything in detail. We are just saying something that is only on a higher level, meaning we will hide the unnecessary details and just show the required information. That word is all about abstraction. So how it is implemented in Java, I will tell about that through a simple program. So let us say I have this uh, I have this application wherein it has to convert something from one format to another format. Let us say I'm giving a file with PNG, it has to convert it to JPG or JPEJ, something like that. So in that case, what I am trying to do is I am just telling you the requirement right now. I just want to convert something from one format to another format. Let us say I have uh, put that in the code as this way: interface converter. The word interface may be something new to you, but understand that interface is something that will just tell about the functionalities on a higher level. It will not include anything with how it is implemented, but it will just say about what functionalities we are going to deal in that process. So here I have put the interface name as converter. Again, to understand clearly about interface, it is just like a blueprint of what we are going to implement in our class, like what functionalities we will implement in our class. So those things are put in the interface. So here I have named the name of the interface as converter, right? So in that I have put one variable with the name max size limit as 100 MB, and I have put another method, but you see that there is no body within it. If we have body for a method, we will have the curly braces open, and within that we will have some code. But here we are not focusing on what or how it is going to be implemented, but we will just focus on what is needed or what is expected out of that converter. So here I have named the method as convert, and what it is expecting one parameter saying like input format. So that should be a string format. So that's how my interface is declared and defined here. So this converter is only going to deal with the files of size limit as 100 MB, and uh, a method called convert which will take the input format of string. So this is all about the abstraction. This is not the whole of abstraction, but we have something else called abstract classes. I will tell about what abstract classes and interfaces are and what are the difference between these two, and in which case we have to use these things in further sessions. But for now, understand that abstraction is something about hiding unnecessary details and just showing only the required information. In this, the required information for me is we have an interface, and it is saying that it will convert something from something else, right? So in this, I have named the method as convert. So that's how I achieved my abstraction. So here I used interface and achieved abstraction. Similarly, I can use abstract classes also, but that we will discuss in the further sessions. We will move ahead for something called inheritance. So when I am saying inheritance, the word itself has some meaning in it. Like we are going to inherit some features or characters from our parents, right? So just like that, in Java also, when I'm creating classes, I can use that inheritance concept. The definition says that when an object can acquire the characteristics and behavior of the parent object, it is called inheritance. So let us say I'm having a parent class and a child class. So in our previous sessions, we have used the example wherein I have created a class computer and I have created a class mobile. In this, I can say the parent class is computer and the child class is mobile. How I am saying that? Because we are using the keyword extends here. This extends will make sure that we are getting the features or characters or behavior from the computer class, right? So here computer will become the parent class and mobile will become the child class. So how I have achieved the inheritance here is I will explain that through this program. Here you have seen that computer class is having some variables and some methods and some print statements here, right? So here I have the system provider as Acer and motherboard provider as Intel, and similarly I have a method called boot time. So let's say my computer is going to have a boot time of 20 seconds. So that's what I mentioned here. Just the same way I see in mobile. So here in mobile, I have created a new object by using this new mobile. Like when I'm saying new mobile, it is going to create an mobile object for me. So for referring that object, I have used the variable as my mobile. So my mobile is the reference variable here. So with that, I have not created any methods, I have not put any variables, but I am able to access the variables like motherboard provider and the method like boot time. So if I execute this program, so let us say I'm executing this program. I am able to see the output here. It's saying Intel and boot time taken is 10 seconds. Okay. So here when I'm saying that I'm able to get the variables and I'm able to get the method from the parent class, that is how it is inherited, because I have this variable in computer class. Similarly, I have this boot time method in the computer class. So I am able to access those. That is how the inheritance helped me, because I need not create any other special variables or methods. I just got these features from my parent class. So parent class and child class concept, through that uh, I am able to understand inheritance, right? So what's the benefit of this? If someone asks you what is the benefit of using inheritance, it will help for code reusability, because here I have accessed the motherboard provider and I have accessed the method boot time, but none of these are written here in this class, right? So these are written in my parent class, but I am able to use those things. That's how I have achieved the code reusability. All right. And if that is clear, we will move ahead for polymorphism. And I'm saying polymorphism, the word has couple of words within it. Like poly is something about many, and morphism means it is having many forms. So when I'm saying many forms, what is having many forms? Primarily, it's about the methods. So if I want to define a functionality, so let us say I want to define, let us say here I have defined the boot time here, right? So I want to define that functionality in a different way in my mobile class. So let us say I'm copying this and I'm putting it here, and and I'm going to consider boot time as, let us say, 5 seconds only. Okay, so here what I have done is I have taken the method from my parent class, that's fine, but I have written it in my own way. Like I did not write it in the same way I did in my parent class. I used boot time taken is 5 seconds only. So this is the way, this is one of the ways of polymorphism, meaning the method is the same, boot time, but in my parent class it is having one style of print statement, and here I have it in a different way. So for my mobile I only have the boot time as 5 seconds only. That's why I have overridden the actual method, meaning whatever method is put in parent class I have just tried to erase it and write it in my own way in my child class. Okay, so through this what I have done is I have done method overriding, meaning method is already there but I overrided it in my own way, saying that boot time taken is 5 seconds only. So often you see the annotation here, at the rate override. So you may not be understanding override annotation as of now, but what it just says is we are just overriding an existing method in our own way. So this annotation is very much used. I'll tell more about this in further sessions, but for now understand that we are overriding the functionality of an existing parent class. That's how I have achieved the polymorphism. So that type of polymorphism is called method overriding. So this is also called as runtime or dynamic polymorphism. Okay, this is just one of the ways. We have also called as compile time or static polymorphism, which is called method overloading. So I will explain about these two things much in detail in further sessions. But for now, understand that polymorphism is something like implementing the same method or similar methods or functionalities in our own ways. Okay, so if polymorphism is clear, we'll go ahead with encapsulation. Encapsulation is a mechanism in which we want to bind or wrap the data. When I'm saying data, it is more about the variables which I use in my class. So when I'm saying wrapping the data and code together into one unit, I can explain that through a simple program. So let us say I have the class as student. So I'm working on student management system project, and in that I have a class called student. And in that student, I have three variables: age, name, and course. So for all these three things, I have named the access modifier as private. This is something that is done intentionally because I want to protect these variables from outside. So for protecting these variables, I have named this as private. Okay. So when here I am saying that wrapping the data and code together into one unit. So here for giving values or setting values for these variables, I have used some methods here. So here you see some methods like public int get age, public void set age, and it is taking a parameter int age. Similarly, we have some other methods for get name and set name, and the same way get course and set course. So this is about giving data through these getters and setters. When I'm saying getters and setters, it is something to be explained in detail. So I want to set the values for these variables through a method. I don't want to directly give some values to it. I want to set the values for these things using some methods. So those methods are called setter methods. If I want to retrieve the data for those variables, those are called getters. So these things I have written for now, but I will explain these things, how to create these getters and setters. I will explain these things much in detail in the further sessions. But for now, understand that we want to make sure that our variables are private, and we want to set and get the values for these variables using methods. So that is all about encapsulation. So that's how we have wrapped or binded the data and code together, because these variables are considered as data here, and the code is about these methods, these getters and setters. When I'm saying getter, I'm just going to retrieve the data for that specific variable. So here if I want to retrieve age, I use this get age method. If I want to set or I want to give some value to these variables, I use this set method. So that is how I used another class and named it as my student, and in that I created a student object. Okay, so student is the class here, and I created the student object. This is the reference variable. Don't be confused about this student and this student. This is the reference variable. This student with starting with lowercase s, this is the reference variable, and through this reference I am going to uh, access my object. So here I try to just print the get age and get name and get course. Because these are not yet set, these will just give me the default values. When I'm saying get age, the default value for that is 0, right? So I'll get 0, and name will be null and course will be null, which is not right. So for that, what I have to do is I have to give some values for this. Let us say I'm giving the age by using setter methods. So just like I'm giving age, I will give the name and course, and then we'll see what the values or output of this. So let us say I will give the name as Rakesh and set the course as, let us say, computer science. Okay, so if I do this now, let's see what the output of this program will be. Okay, so here we see an error here. It's saying method set course in class my student cannot be applied to given types. Here I have given the set course, but in that I have not given the parameter. So string course has to be given. Let's try to compile now. Okay, and then yes, I'm able to retrieve or get the values of the variables of each of like name, age, and course. So that is how the encapsulation is implemented here. And I'm saying encapsulation, it is just wrapping the data and the code for setting it or getting it. So that is how we achieve the encapsulation. So here I say private variables and public methods. Yeah, so these are the private variables and these are the public methods. These are commonly termed as getters and setters, and how to use it more extensively I will tell in further sessions. For now, that's all for the OOPS concepts. So these OOPS concepts are majorly to make sure our software is maintainable, readable, and reusable. Like like we want to make sure things are better with implementing these concepts. So that's why OOPS concepts are so important. Hope you learned something out of this session. Have a good time. Bye bye.